If you're new, welcome. If you're back, you know what it is. It's your boy Rocky G, and today I am doing a freehand lettering piece on his outer leg. We are putting S Los on his leg, ES at the top in a banner, and then underneath I'm gonna put LOS. So I'm really excited about that. Got some good composition working here. I'm heading to the Ave right now. It's located in Koreatown. My boy Gunner's Ink is the owner. Shout out my boy Gunner. Yeah, man, we're gonna make it happen today. I'm super excited to share this with you guys. This clip, I will have my apprentice Andres use a GoPro and shoot like a third-person view so you guys can see the get down. However, I will also be having my Insta360 Go 3S clipped to my hat so you guys can see me freehand drawing, pulling lines, blending, and saturating black. So I'm really excited about today. It's gonna be some good footage, good content. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get to it. The motherfucking Ave, feel me? You know what time it is.
Rocky G.
Sick fool.
It's a rise and grind.
Rise and grind, fools. My boy David Calderon. What's up, fool? What's up, fool?
Let's get it, G.
Tell everybody who you are.
D Lokes, G from West Mass.
Sick fool.
I'm David Calderon. What's up, guys?
It's my boy David right here.
What's up, YouTube?
It's my G right here. Part of the, it's part of the gradient.
So, y'all don't know what's up with the gradient?
Up the stairs we go. My boy Gunner's station. Awards on awards, baby. And this is my station. This is my sanction area. This is my place of peace, where I come to just get away from everyone. That World Series champions 2024 bat from Mr. Cartoon, some bobbleheads. You know, this is where I come and get down. You know, this studio is, it's really, really big, but we have a lot of dope artists here. Oh yeah, bro, we have like, I think 12 artists here. 12? Yeah, bro. And they're all like, you know, everybody here is willing to learn, get better. We're all trying to help each other grow. We ask for, you know, advice. I think that's key, you know. I don't feel like anybody really has like, I mean, everybody has an ego, but not one that's so far up their ass, you know what I mean? Alright guys, during this video, I will be giving you guys some commentary on what I'm doing so you guys have some context. So here, I am building my grid for the client for his tattoo on his leg. I preferred him standing up rather than laying down because I got a better angle of his leg. Here I'm just building my grid using his ankle or the smallest point, the smallest part of his leg as the guide. The calf gets wider at the back, but I still want to use the smallest part of his leg for the grid so that it has better flow. So that's what I'm doing here. Looks good to go. We're ready to rock and roll. Now I'm going to start drawing out just the basics of the letters, pretty much my rough draft. Typically, I do like to use a lighter colored marker. For example, this yellow. It's definitely a little brighter than I think a standard yellow is, but either way, if you guys care to know, I buy these Sharpies from Target. They're called the Glam Pop pack. It has like 30 something markers and it has a lot of, sorry, that's my alarm to post a reel. I buy a marker set from Target called Glam Pop. It has like 34 different colors, different yellows and oranges and pinks and reds. So that's what I like to use. But anyways, I'm using the lightest color I can get for his skin, and I'm just building out the rough draft of these letters. As you can see, I'm toggling between the skin and the iPad. I have a drawing on the iPad. Typically the drawing comes out just as well as it does on the iPad. Sometimes I do have to adapt because obviously skin is not flat like an iPad. So there are instances where I have to kind of create something on the fly or change things on the fly. So But for the most part, if I draw it on the iPad, it comes out relatively close to that. I do take into consideration, obviously, what type of, or where on the body I'm tattooing, whether it's the leg, the back, the chest, the arm, the thigh, wherever. I try to be mindful of that. So therefore, when I'm designing, I have an idea like, oh, this part of the area on the body is bigger than others, so I can descend this or ascend or create flourishes. So all of that goes into my mind when I am doing these drawings. Immediately I register a drawing when a client hits me up to get a tattoo, so I'm already kind of drawing it in my head, but then I don't start drawing until the day of. So a lot of you people probably don't know that I don't work on any designs prior to the morning of. The morning of is when I get there. I get to the studio super early and I'm drawing. So I drew this design before he got there, just so that it's fresh in my mind. All of my creative juices are flowing. So here you can see I'm working on the S. I did notice that the S was moving slightly towards the front of his leg more. I was already registering that, so I knew, all right, I'm gonna have to push this S to the rear more. And I probably did that. I don't think I recorded it, but I'm pretty sure I shifted that S back, because when I was drawing, I was like, oh, this is not lining up. And then I'm pretty sure after I pushed it back, which I did, I could tell, I go in with like a darker color. Now, typically I do these in like 3 layers, but this tattoo I felt pretty confident. It was only 3 letters, but I felt really confident with just the way it sat on the first time I drew it on. Sometimes with my rough draft, I'll do like another one, like a orange, like a light orange. But I was pretty solidified in this drawing, so I figured, let's just go straight with this pink. I love this pink. I really don't know what color this is, but I really like it a lot. So this comes in the Glam Pop. I could probably give you guys a description or a link in the description or something if I can find it. I'll try to put it in there for you guys. But yeah, that's what I'm using right now. I'm kind of just solidifying this drawing. I like to color it in because from afar I can see the width of the letters. I know some people are like, why do you color it in? You don't have to color it in, blah, blah, blah. That's just how I like to do it, okay? Everybody has their own way of doing it. That's just how I like to do it. It helps me. I prefer that method. Because when I'm drawing it on their skin, and especially because we're doing this negative style lettering, when I draw it on the skin and I fill it in, I can have them stand far away from me and I can see it. Like, I can see how big and bold it is, and I can determine whether or not they're all the same width. And because the area that I'm actually coloring in is going to be negative, it allows me to see it before it's transformed into a tattoo. So if I have them stand up, step aside, and I'm like, wow, it's legible from this far away, like, okay, it's good. It doesn't need to be thicker, or it doesn't need to be thinner. So I feel like that's very important. That's the reason why I do it. So as you can see here, guys, nothing, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just, filling in those colors, or filling in those letters with the colors. Here, I'm working on the O. I take my time with this too. As you can see, I am using the Sharpie at an angle to really get that fat side of that Sharpie to fill it in easier. When I do want to get nice sharp points, I will use the tip of it very lightly to build. I do notice people ask me all the time, how do you get it so sharp? I run through Sharpies a lot. I think for me personally, after 3 or 4 uses, they tend to dry out and they're not as sharp, they get dull. So that's when I'll say, all right, new Sharpies need to be purchased. And now you can see I'm grabbing that Q-tip. So the cool thing about the Q-tip, guys, is that I use the Q-tip for like an eraser. I used to obviously spray a napkin with alcohol and wipe it off, but then parts of the letters would get erased. So now I just realized I use a Q-tip, spray the swab or the cotton on it, whatever, and then I can finally erase things more accurately. And then I also use it to measure, so I can use it for two things, you know, dual purposes. So I've already drawn the L and the O, but I use that Q-tip to think, okay, well, let's make sure that it's completely the same width. So what I'll do is I'll measure the L because I'm comfortable with the L. I like the thickness of the L. I'll measure the L, and then I'll start to move down and make sure that they're all the same width. I could do this with my eye, you know, but I like to be extra careful and be perfect. You know, the tattoo will only come out as humanely perfect as possible, but obviously I'm not a robot. However, I know there's human errors, but I try to eliminate human error as much as possible, especially when it comes to a tattoo. And now I'm working on the S. I actually did shift it over to the left. It was just a little too far to the right, too close to that line. And then I don't like the way it was stacked against, on top of the, underneath the O and the L. So here I am just filling that in. And I'm pretty sure I'm constantly going back and forth with measuring just to ensure that it is the same width. And the coloring is quick. See how fast that was? So it's not like it takes a whole lot of time. But, you know, try it out. It might work for you guys. Oh, that was a homie who just passed. It might work for you guys, you know. I like filling it in, like I mentioned. It gives it that look of like a tattoo without it being a tattoo, because I do want to see it from afar and make sure that it is bold enough and wide enough, you know. So that's me working on the S right there. Now what you guys see here is I'm building the frame on top of the L. Since this is going to be a negative style lettering tattoo, I made the frame a little bit further away from the letters because I still have to double outline this letter. So I kind of had an idea of how thick I wanted to make it and then build a frame on top of that. And here I'm just drawing my grid, my guidelines for the ES at the top. I figured I wanted to do that later because I wanted to establish LOS since it was going to be in front and then the ES was going to be on top. So I knew I could just draw that on after without an issue. And this is me kind of getting that rough draft of the E. I'm trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to go on top of the frame or behind the frame. I had a little difficulty with that, trying to figure out how I wanted it to look exactly, but this is just a quick rough draft of me drawing it up just to kind of get an idea of how I want it to look. So here I am drawing the ES with that same colored marker, kind of figuring it out, you know. I think it looked a little different in the tattoo. Sometimes I just draw things just to see kind of what it looks like. And as I mentioned, this is going to be the very last thing that I did, so I wasn't too concerned about it. I kind of wanted just an idea of like where it's going to land. So now we're getting into the cool part. So here you can see in the pop-up window you saw, I'm running it at 7.4 volts. I am running a 10-3 round liner with my lightest tone. I am using Big Sleeps Ink Ghostline Gray Wash set. So this is Ghostline Gray 1, which is his light tone. And here I'm just outlining these, this letter particularly. I'm barely grazing the skin. I don't want it to be a full saturated line. I like my letters to have this nice wall-to-wall look. I don't like hard black outlines because it looks ugly. So that's why I use the lightest tone. And here we kind of skip forward to me already have packed in some of that S. And here I am grabbing, it looks like a liner. So as you can see in the pop-up window, I'm running it at 7.4 volts still. I'm using a 12-7 round liner by Quadrant. And I'm using black, Killer Bee Black by Big Sleeps Ink. So I'm sponsored by Big Sleeps Ink. Shout out Big Sleeps Ink. When it comes to these tighter areas, I will use a liner to be more precise. I'll start to fill it in with the liner. And then when I'm comfortable and I'm far away from that really tight space, that the space needs to be pointy and sharp, I'll go ahead and discharge the liner from my machine, and then I'll grab what I'm grabbing now, which is I believe a 17 curved mag. So I'm running it at 7.4 volts. a 17 curve mag running black. When I pack black and I run outlines, I will run my voltage at 7.4. When I'm smoothing out my tones and blending, I will run at 7 volts. And a lot of that will come up in these little pop-up windows to let you guys know what voltage I'm running. But here, as I said, I am running 7.4 volts with a 17 curve mag bug pin, 1017 curve mag by quadrant. All of my needles are ran through quadrant. And I'm running a Killer Bee Black by Big Sleeps Ink. So here I am. You can see his left leg doing a little dance. I'm in there. I'm in there, dude. I'm packing in that black, you know, but it's a one-time thing. I pack in the black, a nice circular motion. For me, there's a certain vibration that I feel when I know I'm deep enough. I do hang my needle out a little bit farther than I would if I was blending my tones, but there's a vibration that I feel, and once I feel that vibration, I know, okay, that's it. And then I just start to pack little circular motions. I will angle my mag, I would have my mag at an angle and just dig really, you know, nice and deep. It hurts, obviously, the client, but it's a tattoo. Get over it. But also, it's one pass for the most part. It's just I get in there, I dig, I wipe, it's good, moving forward or moving on, you know. So that's how I like to pack in my black. I do use my mag also to crisp up lines if I need to. So here I'm grabbing a 10-3 round liner, running at 7.4 volts with my Ghostline 1. And this is the part that I love the most, is when I get to do stuff like this. Obviously, you know, straight freehanding. Right now I'm building my frame. So people ask me all the time, how do I keep this distance the same? So typically what I'm doing is I'm using my peripheral at the same time I'm running a line, where I'll look at the letter, how thick that black outline is. I'll look at the right side of that outline, and then I'll look at where my hand is, and I just try to maintain that space all the way through. I take my time, you guys see, I'm not rushing, you know, but I try to maintain that same distance throughout the whole piece. So I'm constantly looking, again, like if I'm going cross-sided, like I'm constantly looking at like the letter and then looking at where my line is at. I'm doing both at the same time and trying to just maintain that same distance as much as possible. So as you can see here, I'm doing that on the right side of the S, and then I start working on the left side of the S. Same thing, my lightest tone, and I'm barely grazing the skin. I think it's very important to barely graze the skin, because obviously you're gonna run back over that with the mag. But also, you don't want hard lines, especially in like a frame shading where it should be nice and smooth. Unless you're trying to be intentional with the line work, there shouldn't be any lines. For me personally, I like it to look like a sticker. All right, so now we are moving on. We grabbed a 1017 curved mag with my Ghostline Gray 3, which is my dark tone, and I'm running it at 7 volts. So now I'm running 7 volts because I'm blending. And you see I'm in this corner of the frame, and I grab my darker tone to push that out. Once I brush that dark tone out, I leave it alone. I come to the bottom, as you see now, same concept. And when I'm in these corners of the frame, I try to get it very dark, so therefore it gets light coming out. So it gives it that nice contrast, that depth. And I use a smaller mag, obviously, to make sure it's pinpointed. I could have grabbed a liner, but I'm very comfortable with my mag. If you guys aren't that comfortable yet, don't worry, you'll get there. And now I pulled a 1027 curved mag with my mid-tone, which is a grade 2. This is my mid-tone. Now I'm gonna just build this nice, smooth tone to transition from that dark to mid. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm giving it that nice little pendulum style, running it at like an angle. You know, 7 volts for me is adequate enough for me to get in there, get my tones in there, and not put too much pressure on the skin to where it leaves those dark marks. So here I am, just brushing that tone out, nice and smooth. And I'll do this where I started to blend out that dark tone, so it has a smooth transition. Usually wherever my tone ends is where I'll put the next tone, so you have that gradual transition of tones. And here, same thing, but now I'm using my lightest tone. And this is where like I start to slow down a little bit, be like have that more pendulum style motion, because I'm really trying to get that blend. Because that light tone is gonna help me blend that tone from light to skin. So we have dark, mid, light. And when I'm brushing that dark, once I'm done brushing the dark and it's smooth, I'll implement that mid tone right where I started to blend out that dark. And then when I blend out that mid, where that mid is blended out nice and smooth, I'll put my light right there. So like I mentioned, it has a smooth transition from dark, or from black, dark, mid to light. And I'm pretty happy with that. Now moving on to the right side, same thing, 1027 curve mag, 7 volts, Ghostline Gray 3. And I'm working on this side just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Typically when I do blends, I'll have my needle in closer than I would when I'm packing. I feel like with the needle in closer, it gives me more control, and it allows me to control that pressure that I want. Here you guys can see me trying to crisp that up with the edge of the mag, and then I'm just lightly grazing him, trying to build that nice tone. I feel like this is very important. You know, I've seen a lot of letters where the letters are fantastic, but it's just the background falls short. And I feel like, you know, the background typically seems to be the last thing people do, so they get tired and they don't want to do it, so it's all choppy. But me, I try my best to keep it clean. Here you can see I'm dipping into my Ghostline Gray 2. Now I'm trying to blend that tone out. So I'm going from dark to mid to light, as I mentioned. Same thing, 7 volts, nothing's changed. And just trying to get that really nice smooth gradient. Here we got some packing black. I'm running it at 7.4 volts, a 17 curve mag, and that Killer Bee black. And I'm just trying to get that wall to wall. As you see here, I didn't outline it with like a black liner and then pack it in. That's because I know I could crisp it up with my mag, but also I don't like that hard saturated black line that you get from a liner. If I were to outline that, right, or line this outline with like a 7 or like a 5 liner and have it black, it's gonna stand out much more than this packing black, because the liner is concentrated, and I don't want that look. If you look at these tattoos or look at my Instagram, I try to give this thicker aesthetic, you know, where it looks flush, and when you outline it with a liner, it doesn't give it that flush look. So I just crisp it up with the mag and it works just fine. The work comes back healed and it looks great. And here I am exchanging needles, dipping into my black, it looks like. So I'm running 7.4 volts and a 12.7 round liner with my Killer Bee black. Like I mentioned, when I get to these sharp corners, I like to be more precise. Normally I would use a round shader, but I felt pretty comfortable with my liner at this point. The client had good skin, the ink was depositing good, so I just ran it with the liner. I thought that was sufficient. Here I'm running that same 10.3 round liner, 7.4 volts, Ghostline Gray 1, building that frame once again on the outside of the O. This time around for this tattoo, I work from bottom to top. Usually I'll outline it, double outline it, and then start packing in the black from left to right or from bottom to top. And then I'll come all the way back down hours later and do the background. But I was like, I don't want to do that. It's probably gonna be super tender, all tenderoni, so don't want to do that. Here, I am using a 17 curve mag, 7 volts with my darkest tone, pushing out for this frame. Once again, trying to get that nice smooth blend, packing in that corner real nice and tight with that dark, and then brushing out that dark. And then here I am, same thing, but with my mid-tone. Once I brush out that dark to where I want, I'm gonna grab my mid-tone, start pushing out that mid-tone, just like that. And now, same concept, same supplies, but now with just a light tone. And I'm pushing off that light. If you guys notice in my framework, I don't always connect the points. I do leave openings. And that's because I like to give my frame body. There's nothing worse than having like a flat frame. And that's why I have all these decorations and openings, because I want it to breathe. And I do like to have my frame outline, my frame shading the shape of my actual frame outline. So we skip forwards so you guys can see the top of the tattoo. The L was the same process as the S and the O. I am running a 12-3 round liner with black at 7.4. I'm working on this ES at the top. This part took some time, you know, running a 12-3 round liner and try to get everything super crispy takes a lot of time. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you're taking too long to do something. That's ridiculous. It takes however long it takes. You know, nobody's gonna say, oh, that took too long if the tattoo looks sick. So don't ignore people. It takes however long it takes. All right, guys, this tattoo took me a very long time. As you can see, that little black thing on my hat, that is my Insta360. That's what gave us the POV footage. Which, let me know if you guys like. Comment down below. Was that footage good for you guys? Did you guys like it? Do you prefer it not being POV? I was just trying something new, so let me know. Also, as you guys can see, that spray, it's not green soap. I do use blue soap. It burns less than green soap. I don't think it burns at all, to be honest. And it has like a minty smell. I like it a lot. I do. So, but yeah, here we are building those flourishes for the S. Wanted to sauce it up a little bit, so I'm working on that. Here's another aerial shot of what I'm working on. I had Andres, my apprentice, get some aerial shots with the GoPro. Try to get as many angles as I could for you guys. This is a look at what we got done so far, and I think we're almost done with this tattoo. I'm wiping it down to make sure it looks good, and yeah, this is it. I think I'm pretty sold on this one. It looks good. And here it is, the final product. Andres got a cool video of me recording, of the recording you're gonna see after this. I was really happy with how this tattoo came out. Client was super happy, I was happy. Really dope. And here it is, a better view of my phone. I'm running a standard iPhone 16 or 15, whatever phone is out. This one. A standard camera. I love this tattoo so much. Super clean, super crispy. Nice. Yeah, man. Took about 8-9 hours. Really happy with this piece. Favorite one so far. Now, I use a regular iPhone camera. The newest one, I didn't buy the newest, which is a 17, I think. I have the 16, like I said, this one. For me, I take all of my photos in portrait mode. I feel like it does give it this nice look, obviously like a portrait. It captures all the details and it kind of blurs out the background, and that's the kind of look that I like to go for. So in this picture here, you can see this tattoo as a nice angle. I don't have any special lighting. A regular ring light works for me. Here's a photo of it from the side. And then I have it at the top. You guys can see a close-up of the ES. And then at the bottom, you'll see the S, the O, and the L. I take all of my photos with my phone. No super expensive camera. Just the phone that I have in my pocket that I carry. I try to grab pictures of my tattoos in their raw, most authentic form. I don't use special lighting or polarizers or anything like that. You know, I want people to know, like, if they see it on Instagram, it's gonna look the same on Instagram that it does, like it does in real life. There's no magic trick behind it. So Not saying there's anything bad about anybody else who does that. That's cool, that's what you want to do, but me personally, I don't. So for those who are wondering, no, I don't have any special cameras or lighting or any of that stuff. I also want to touch on, you know, for anybody out there who is doing lettering or tattooing in general, don't get so caught up in trying to do something quickly or somebody's timing me. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about time. Don't worry about none of that stuff. All right. It takes however long it takes, guys. For me, when I freehand my lettering, it takes a while, and I'll let clients know you're gonna be here for at least an hour, probably just me drawing on you, and they understand that. So don't be in such a rush to do something quickly. My advice when it comes to freehand lettering, if you are not in love with the drawing, 9 times out of 10, you are not gonna love the tattoo. The drawing is literally what the tattoo is gonna look like for the most part, as far as like the basics and the foundation of the tattoo. If your lines are crooked or jagged on your freehand drawing and you think maybe you'll fix it on the fly, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but why even risk that? Why not just have a good enough drawing for you to know to just follow exactly what you're supposed to do and you're good to go. Here's a picture of the drawing, right? And I'm so confident that in this drawing, anybody can tattoo. If I told somebody, hey, outline this tattoo for me, they're gonna be able to outline it confidently, because they're not gonna say, oh, do I outline this line or this line? Because it's so sharp and crispy that I know anybody can do it. And that's how I know, like, for me, that's how I like my drawings to look. So I don't have to second guess or do any of that while I'm tattooing. While I'm tattooing, I'm already tripping, right? Sometimes I'm hot, I'm sweaty, you know, there's a lot going on, right? I'm like dancing or I'm singing. So the last thing I want to worry about is trying to do something on the fly when it comes to my tattoos. So my advice is have a good, strong drawing that you can do or that you know how to work around confidently. You know, that's my advice for sure. This is my first time attempting something like this, so please bear with me, guys. I'm learning how to use Final Cut Pro, how to use this little POV camera, my GoPro. I'm trying to find this identity of mine that's considered my brand of how I want to shoot these videos. So please bear with me, but I really hope this video gave you guys some clarity on how I do things. If you guys have any suggestions on what you guys would like to see from me, please comment down below, let me know. This is my first time, like I said, trying this kind of thing, so I'm still learning. I'm a student of the game for sure. Once again, I want to thank all of my subscribers and those who haven't subscribed yet for taking the time to watch this video, man. I immensely appreciate it. I put my heart and soul into these videos. A lot of editing goes behind this stuff, so I really appreciate you for watching this video, and I really hope that you guys find some type of substance in this. And I hope you learned something from this video that's gonna encourage you to wanna go out there and attempt these tips and tricks that I've given you today, all right? So remember, stay sharp, stay creative, and shoot straight. With much love, your boy, Rocky G. Peace.